HoonTV! So I got Mr. Paint Pen here. I think this is a good one, and I've been basically just drawing lines going cut, 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 cut. Basically decided I'm going to cut out that front section of the car there, which is the radiator support panel underneath. And in the front rad support, I've got to basically cut all the way along here and then down here and leave the main sort of top structure in, which I might have to fix up. These two tabs here were for the heat exchanger, so that's going. Probably going to lose this. Cut all the way along here, nice little clean line, and then basically that's so Mr. Intercooler over there can fit in the front here. But then also I've got just enough room here to fit the radiator right behind the intercooler. I might even be able to sort of space it back a little bit, but I'm just bonnet clearance and stuff like that. So even if I have to sit the radiator back on an angle so it clears the bonnet, it actually gives a bit of an air gap there. Yeah, we'll see where we go, because the front of the engine's got miles of room there. The only problem is the radiator height wise. So unless I go and get a whole new radiator, I'd rather keep the radiator in between the rails here where it's still quite wide, because it comes in here. So the further I come back, the more impossible it gets to fit. So don't want to go down that path again, get a whole new radiator, because that one is great. A little bit of cutting, welding, and a bit of paint repairs, and we're all good. This bad boy has been getting a full-on workout right now, and I've got radiator support panel and intercooler bracket there. Nice little bracket in the middle, stitching them together. It's all MIG, no TIG porn on this one. Managed to use the factory Falcon radiator brackets there, so they'll have the rubbers in them there. And I'm also still got to do a bit of cleaning up in there, but I've got this bit of cardboard-aided design here, which kind of almost got right. Need to make a few changes to it, but just on the bottom there. But that'll go in there and then get welded all around, and then stitch all that and then hide the horrible holes there. So, and then maybe underneath I'll fill it in from underneath as well. So it's all kind of factory-ish looking-ish. So yeah, she's pretty strong. And I say that because almost full in the shed. And speaking of welding, had a brief pause here. Not sure how this is going to go, but this is a really grubby old muffler. It had a bit of damage on it, had a big scar out of it here. Don't know why I'm still holding this. So I'd have been down the road and scraped the muffler there. Plus there was a big dent up the muffler here. So basically it's pretty dirty material, but I tried to clean it as well as possible. And then I just sort of backfilled that. And a guy wants this for his CBR, so trying to clean it up as best as possible. It'll never be perfect, but once that's all flattened there, find all the low spots, which I think I have, and here, then I might take it in either a bead blasted or Scotch Brite wheel it or something like that to try and give it a bit of a uniform look. Yeah, hopefully this all comes up nice. I've just been sitting around on the bench for ages because it was not a perfect one, so little beauty here is really good, and I'm bummed that I'm not getting enough time to use it at the moment, but yeah, it's nice to just be able to pick it up and rip into it, and it works perfectly. So yeah, back to the cardboard. Okay, it's done. I've had to lean the radiator back and the intercooler slightly just because of the width of the rail there. Otherwise I'm going to have to go and get custom radiator and everything like that, but doesn't matter. I've still got massive amounts of room between the engine and that, because the engine finishes about here I think, so should be fine. But just want to get all that sitting in there. Now I can take this bar out and lift the radiator back out, because the radiator has got its bracket in there, so I can get that out. I've got the top brackets for the intercooler in here. I've put an RHS bar in the front of this. It's welded on the back, just stitch welded. And on the front here I thought it'd be tricky and clamp it all down nicely and then TIG weld it across the front. I'll probably still linish it, but if I TIG it across the front, it'll look quite neat. The other thing I do need to do is put the trans cooler in the front here, and there'll be enough gap in here as well, which is good. So, but I'll mess around with that. I might even put the trans cooler off the side so it's not in the path of the intercooler. So very nice, happy with that. Let's get this radiator out. So that's pretty much all done, welded top bottom, plated on the ends. Haven't really ground down the welds apart from just on this front edge here, but other than that, that's pretty much straight off the gun. And yeah, pretty happy with that. Just got to do a top support for the radiator now. The intercooler support's all done, and get in and clean up this rad support. May have to trim into here a bit for some clearance for the intercooler pipe, but that's fine. There's plenty of room in there, so I can trim into that and maybe brace it or something like that if we need to, but should be all pretty good. So I'm going to mount the trans cooler here, that one over there, and that's going to go pretty much there, probably. Not sure yet, we'll see how we go. Excellent. I'll switch from thumbs up to this kind of memey. And shout out to World Class. I've been doing a crap load of grinding, so I've got all of these. Well, these are used ones, but they're still okay. But yeah, I got 80s, 60s they are, yep, and 40s here, and then 1mm cutting discs here, some wire brushes here, more wire brushes, actual brushes in there, and welding wire, lots of welding wire. And then also I've neatly hung up all of my TIG wire here. So I actually did that aluminium repair today and used the big fat one because I wanted to throw heaps of wire into it. So yeah, it's pretty good. And yeah, really happy to be actually using this equipment. It's been pretty boring not using it, so good stuff. And yeah, got plenty of gloves to keep me going as well. So very, very happy, very easy MIG welder to use. Alrighty, so fast forward a couple of weeks and I've got the car kind of looking like it's back together because I've got the bumper on, headlights in, all that sort of stuff. Mostly just for trial fits at the moment, but the beauty is that because the radiator support panel is literally held on by 4 bolts and the front bumper is held on by 2 bolts on the original factory bumper mounts, and then on the outside I've just got nutserts there so that the bolts go in from underneath. But what I've done is I've got the radiator sitting pretty much where I want it to be. The intercooler's in. I've still got a trim in around here, around the back of the headlights around to get the intercooler pipe to come around. It's a bit of a tight fit through here, but when I spoke to Shannon at Plasma Man about the plenum chamber here, I said to him, look, I believe that it's going to need to be the straight plenum, and yeah, lo and behold, that's the room I have. So if I'd have gone for the one that tapered out, I would have had no luck at all. In saying that, that's not created a problem, but it just literally means it's going to have to be like a fairly tight radius through here. But because the fan actually sits quite a far back in here, it's a bit hard to show. It means I can actually trim into the fan shroud there on the plastic forward shroud there anyway. So there is more room than it looks like, and it should work out all right. Because the radiator used to sit all the way back here and the intercooler, well, didn't have an intercooler, but most people put the intercoolers in the front of the car. I didn't want to have that big ugly sort of intercooler out the front. Plus with the tanks up here, it means very short intercooler plumbing. But with the radiator sitting there, I've got this sort of just dummied in at the moment. Excuse my weld across here, it's a bit patchy, but because this was powder coated before, and that's actually 2 skins there, I did clean the metal, but I'm assuming that there was some paint inside there. So thankfully I can weld it all up underneath and then get it all nice and spanky looking, and then I'll probably go over that with the TIG anyway, maybe clean that one down, then make it look pretty again. Probably have some sort of a shield across here just to help with airflow going into the radiator, just cap it off nicely across the top, and lengthwise here it sort of works perfectly. But yeah, pretty happy with that. As you know, the Plasma Man plenums are pretty sexy, so I've gone and put tape all over it so I don't scratch the crap out of it. Spoke to Kyle from 6 Boost the other day, and the Pro Mod manifold is 90% done. We're just making a slight last minute decision whether or not we go with the turbo that I've got already, but I'll keep you posted on that one. Had some discussions with MTQ there the other day, and as you can see down there, that's just a rough guideline, but because I'm running this engine plate here, that's like basically I measured the width of the chassis rails, and then that's been water jet cut, and I'll probably end up losing this part because it basically means that you won't be able to pull the engine out because the drive plate will be stuck behind that, but I left that in just for the meantime. But that's pretty much a chassis rail width. So what we'll do is we'll actually, going back to my beautiful cardboard design before, I actually copied that, except that piece of cardboard had a bit cut out of it, but actually helps anyway. But probably end up using something like this, cardboard, sit it in there, work out exactly where it needs to go, and then trim the aluminium one to match. And then that's only 6mm as well, so it's actually quite light. But there's so much room in the back there, it's just where that floor pan bit is there, in the corner there, that's kind of exactly next to it, so I'm gonna have to trim back into that. But if I can go in the car and show you, I'll get a light and I'll come back. Right, so in the car here, if you can see in there, there's actually, I made that footrest, that's an aluminium footrest with checker plate on it, and the main reason I made that was because my left foot is not really doing anything. I mean, I might use it for the burnout and so forth, but during a run the left foot's going to stay there, and I wanted it to be in a safe spot so it doesn't sort of feed itself under the brake pedal if something goes wrong. But there's so much room behind that, I can actually cut into that firewall there, and it's going to be totally fine. So getting back to that, got all the seats out and everything like that at the moment, just because it's going to be a bit of grinding in there, and want to give it a good clean. But the other thing is, because we're doing the wiring again, it's probably going to be much easier to have no seats in there, so I want to get in there and do it all properly. Mitch wants to replace my beautiful headlight wiring I made. Not a priority at the moment, but we'll see how we go, because it did work fine, and it was literally just headlights for roll racing. And as you can see, that's the gutted steel door. The funny story was that originally when I was building this car, I had a pair of fiberglass doors for it, and they were such a bad fit. I think they were 5 kilos each, and the factory door was about 25 kilos. With the side intrusion bar removed and the door skin removed, this door is about 10 kilos. So, and that's probably added a little bit more weight in to put this bar in just for the open and close. But and that also supports the bottom of the window there because it's got a Lexan window in it. But yeah, my first foray into setting up a race car window a while ago, and it seemed to work alright. So, but yeah, getting back in the engine bay, as you can see, my beautiful interim engine mounts at the moment is just basically a piece of metal, and I've actually tech screwed that straight down in the cross member. So that's just purely to get the engine sitting where it needed to be. And I'm going to show you this tool I got, which is, most chassis builders have got something like this, so I wouldn't call myself a chassis builder, but it's my angle gauge I went and picked up the other day. Now, I haven't even checked the floor, but to be honest, so the floor there shows up as 0.3, and I guess it depends on where it goes because the floor is not completely perfect, but I worked out it's around about 0.2 or 0, there you go. But yes, and that's pretty much bang on in the middle of the car. But I've got the car on jack stands at the moment, there's all junk and stuff underneath the car, but I'd sort of gone over the car everywhere, and it's like 0.1, 0.2. It's got magnets on the bottom too, so there, about 0.2, 0.1, depending on where it goes, it's about 0.1, 0.2. So, and then, through the whole thing, well, depending on where that's actually got some damaged paint on it. So I think I measured the engine off the bottom of the rail of the head there, so 0.2. And then I've also got it so that the crankshaft is pretty much bang up the middle. So yeah, I'm very happy where that engine's sitting now. And as you would have seen in the earlier videos, the middle of the wheel center line, which is pretty much in line with the strut towers, is here, and that's sort of just coming into cylinder number 2, that used to be here. So, you know, I don't know if anyone wants to do the maths and work out the weight distribution difference, but yeah, I've gone from move the engine back that far. So, which is, you know, yay far. Let's even get a tape measure out in the old metric language. So it's about 19 centimeters. So pretty happy with that. And because when we did corner weight the car before, wasn't super heavy front end, but it was just heavy. So heavier in the front than the rear. If I head around the back now as well, Jamie from Raceworks, I called him up and I said, look, this is kind of what I need. We discussed it. So I've got this here. It's sort of dummied in place at the moment. It's a bit dark in the shed here at the moment. Got the rags in the way here, but I've used these rubber dampeners under the tank here, and these are just some 40x40 aluminium rails. I'll probably trim it up or dress it up or something like that. Mainly to get it up off of here, because I can't have the sump or whatever you'd call it of the tank here hanging through, because that's where the shaft goes in the chassis for the parachute. So it's all up above here. Currently discussing with Tanner and the guys from Fuel Lab about what we're going to do with the pumps, but they're probably all going to be up here as well. So there'll be nothing majorly under the car apart from a couple of fuel lines. But yeah, cool thing about this tank is that aside from the fact that it's, instead of being all the way up the front of the tray there where it was a real bastard to fill up the fuel tank, we'd have to climb through the ute to do it. But it's got a sender in it, it's got big orbs on it, and inside the tank you can't really see it very well, but you know what, I'm just going to show you a diagram. If you go on the Raceworks website and have a look at what they've got on there, this is like all internally baffled, so it's pretty cool setup. And to go with that, going to head over the cupboard and I'll be right back. Hand gestures. So I'm back and put that back on there. Oh, it's a nice tight fit, I like it. Bang. Also from Raceworks I have these, which are the Siemens 2433cc injectors, and I do have 12 of them, so plenty of injector now. I had plenty of injector before, but the better thing about these than the ones that I had, not that there was anything wrong with the ones before, is that these ones will work with methanol. Pretty sure we're going to run methanol. There's a mosquito buzzing around me, hope it doesn't bite me, but yeah, big thanks to Jamie for organising them as well. If you need any fuel system stuff, Raceworks have got everything. It's crazy the range now, so definitely check out what they've got. Aside from that, it's more just doing little bits and pieces and getting jobs done. So once I get a chance over the weekend, I've also, it's hard to see under the car, but I've also dummied up like a makeshift gearbox cross member, which is just a piece of bar with tech screws in the chassis rail as well. So pretty happy with the progress so far. Anth has got the head back from porting, which is awesome. Don't forget to turn off your angle gauge, even though it's only AA batteries. These are really cool. And aside from that, a few other bits and bobs from Davies Craig, John and the awesome crew there. I have this, which will find its way into this car and maybe also the Land Cruiser as well, but that's a this is a trans temp sender block. So basically you intercept one of your trans cooler lines and then your typical style sender unit, like an ECU style one, something like that. So that actually works with Davies Craig cooling units and so forth. But as well as Davies Craig, a million things going on over here at the moment. And this time around in the car, instead of the old water pump, which did one rail racing meeting with its nice new metal pulley on it, so if anyone needs a brand new water pump, hit me up, it's there. And the metal pulley is what you need. I have this Davies Craig Black Edition water pump, which is going to go in, but I can't mount that yet until I've got the engine mounts all done, because I've got to work out exactly where it's going to go. Also with this clear view filter as well, I have a Ryco Syntec filter for it now, ready to go there. Lots and lots to get done, but it's sort of coming together. I'll probably, now that I've worked out that that's all sort of fitting nicely and worked out where I need to trim around the headlights, I'm going to pull all the front end off again. I may even still put the support in the middle here or something like that, but yeah, I know how much room's in there now. There's like bulk loads of room there. I could put a second intercooler in if I wanted to, if I really wanted to, I could put air conditioning in it, but it's a drag car, so it's not. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm not going to show my face on this video purely because I just had surgery on my face and I look like garbage right now. So hope to see you in a coming video. I've got another video coming up hopefully this week on some updates on the bike stuff. There's something going on up the back there as well, which you'll see in the bike stuff if you watch both the bike and car stuff. But yeah, thanks for your support. Like, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff, and Barra the world.